She revealed her true self to the Duke in a desperate act to save her father. His amazing response would change everything. The night of the fundraiser was a swirl of clinking glasses and nervous laughter. Under twinkling lights, Elise Matthews felt the weight of her heart pounding against her chest. The Duke's elite stood aglow in their designer suits, shaking their heads with skepticism as they eyed the diner's shabby concessions. For a moment, she feared they'd see right through her, the girl from the diner who mixed bacon grease with her dreams. But it wasn't just a fundraiser, it was her chance. Her father's health was slipping like water through their fingers, and the diner's bills loomed like dark clouds overhead. Each plate cleared from the diner's crowded counters represented hope, yet desperation began to spill into her spirit. The laughter that filled the diner just hours ago felt distant. Elise had to save her family from drowning in debt, even if that meant stepping out of the shadows to reveal a part of herself long hidden. As she stood before the canvas, the colors of her dreams splashed in vibrant hues. Ever since childhood, she recalled how she had tucked away her paintbrush amidst the rattling chains of family duty. Drawing in the diner had always soothed her, but the urge to create had faded beneath responsibility. Until tonight. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Breathless and trembling, Elise stepped onto the stage, a bright spotlight illuminating her determination. As she unveiled the mural that captured the pulse of her town, the sprawling landscapes, the storefronts, the simple joys of her community, she felt each brushstroke resonate with the audience. Gasps echoed throughout the hall, some observers whispering in awe while others remained stiff with disbelief. The Duke, Harrison Sinclair, stood silent among a sea of fashionable cynics, his gaze locked onto Elise, a magnet pulling them together in this intricate dance of life. Yet then came the murmurs, thick and layered with class prejudice, as his friends scoffed at the mere idea of mixing with the common girl from the diner. Elise felt an ache in her chest, stumbling as self-doubt surged like a stormy tide within her. Did she dare to question everything she had held on to, risking the family legacy for a chance to pursue her long-buried aspirations? Even as the whispers spiraled and twisted around her, the light in her heart flickered. The crowd began to split, some drawn to her beauty and spirit, while others clung to their snobbery and disdain. All at once, Elise realized this moment wasn't just about her. It was about the town that had always stood behind her, a community fighting to redefine itself. They needed her spark just as much as she needed their acceptance, but as emotions swirled, she caught a glimpse of Duke Sinclair, a look of wonder painting his features. In that charged silence, as the tension simmered, she felt the weight of a choice. Would she embrace the bridge between their worlds or retreat into the shadows once more? Elise stood frozen on stage, the weight of the gazes fixated on her made her feel unsteady. The murmurs threatened to drown out her thoughts, yet she found the courage to push forward. This was her truth, her unveiling, and she refused to let the dark comments extinguish her flickering light. Looking out into the crowd, she spotted a familiar face, Mrs. Henderson, the town's matriarch, her wrinkled hands stitched with wisdom and compassion. Mrs. Henderson offered a reassuring smile, and suddenly, the whispers felt distant. Elise squared her shoulders and embraced the moment. Determined, she turned her attention back to the mural, bursting with life and stories of her town. "This is not just paint on canvas," she declared, her voice steadying. "It's a reflection of hope, resilience, and the dreams we all share. We're all part of this community, no matter where we come from or what we have." The murmurs dimmed, replaced by a quiet curiosity, maybe even respect. She caught a glimpse of Duke Sinclair in the front row, the surprise still etched on his face. His brows were slightly raised, not in mockery but perhaps in awe. It encouraged her, and a warmth washed over her, igniting her passion. "My father fought hard to keep our diner alive. It's more than just a business to us. It's a symbol of our dreams," she continued, her voice rising with the strength of 100 pleas. But it's not enough to just survive. We need to thrive. We need to believe in something greater than ourselves. As if led by an unseen force, she stepped closer to the edge of the stage, looking directly at the Duke. Your generosity could change lives. Together, we can make a difference, not just for my family but for everyone here. Will you join us? A heavy silence followed. The elite filling the hall exchanged glances, silently weighing her words against their biases. The Duke's eyes softened, and she noticed him opening his mouth, willing to speak, but before he could respond, the crowd began to murmur again, debate replacing their silence. Elise's heart raced as the mix of voices filled the air, uncertainty hanging like a heavy fog. She couldn't read their expressions. Were they contemplating her proposal, or inspecting her with skepticism? Suddenly, a woman standing at the back shouted, "You tell them, girl. We're behind you." It was a voice of support, a lifeline thrown into the storm. Others began to applaud, timid at first but growing louder, a swell of community backing her unyielding spirit. Elise felt an electric spark, igniting a hope she hadn't dared to entertain. The applause washed over her like a wave, bolstering her resolve. But as she took this small victory, her eyes returned to Sinclair, whose expression had shifted from surprise to contemplation. Then he stood, and the applause subsided into an anticipatory hush. The tension as thick as silk hung in the air as he began to speak. "What you've done here tonight is extraordinary." Elise's breath caught, starved for his next words. Her heart danced with anticipation and fear. Would he understand, or would he shatter her hopes, leaving just remnants of this moment in the wake of his decision? Before he could continue, her phone buzzed violently, the screen lighting up with a new notification. It was a message from her father. "Elise, I need to talk. It's about the diner." And the Duke's eyes flickered down to her phone. With a deep breath, she faced the crowd again, her heart racing with fresh dread and curiosity igniting inside her. What was her father about to reveal? On the verge of something monumental, she understood this was the tipping point, not just for her, but for everyone she loved. Will this be the moment that changes everything? She wondered as the room hung on the brink of revelation. Elise felt the air grow heavy as all eyes turned back to her, anticipation radiating through the room. Her fingers trembled, still gripping her phone. The message loomed large in her mind like a dark cloud, threatening to rain on her moment. Duke Sinclair finally spoke, his voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "Elise, I believe in dreams and I believe in the strength of this community." He paused, glancing between Elise and the audience. "But before we move forward, I think we need to know the whole story." His gaze turned steady, challenging, and her heart thudded. What did he mean? Could the truth about her father's health really hold the key to their hopes? The laughter and chatter from a moment ago faded into an oppressive quiet. She held her breath, the weight of his stare urging her on. "I appreciate your support, Duke," she started, her voice steadier now, "but my father's health is serious. We're at risk of losing everything." The words tumbled out like a broken dam. "The diner is his life's work, and it's hanging by a thread. I thought I could save it, but I might need more than just my dreams to pull this off." Gasps rippled through the crowd, a chorus of emotions, concern mixed with hope. Mrs. Henderson's expression was tender, understanding. It was like they all felt the weight of Elise's truth. Sinclair shifted, the muscles in his jaw working as he processed her words. "Why didn't you say anything sooner? The community could rally behind you." Elise averted her gaze to the mural, her heart breaking a little more. "I wanted to protect my father. I thought it would make him weaker if he knew how desperately we're struggling. But I see now that hiding the truth isn't the answer." The applause that had begun to crescendo moments ago now felt like a distant echo, lost amidst the tide of her vulnerability. In that instant, she realized that while she had come to speak for herself, she had actually stepped up for everyone who had ever felt too small to make a difference. People like her father, who fought tirelessly even when hope waned. Duke Sinclair stepped closer, his brows softened by empathy. "You have a fire in you, Elise. It's contagious." His sincerity ignited something deep within her. "Let us turn your passion into action. What if we organized a fundraiser for the diner? A community night, celebrating everything that brings us together. Elise's heart raced at the prospect. This wasn't just about saving a diner, it was a chance to bring the community together. You would really help us with that? Absolutely, he replied, his confidence infectious. The crowd erupted into applause once more, this time with a renewed sense of purpose. They were no longer just spectators, they were allies swaying together toward a single goal. Elise felt tears prick at her eyes, a mixture of disbelief and joy blooming within. "Thank you," she managed to say, voice choked with emotion. "This means everything to us." But just as hope began to fill her chest, her phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up with a new message. Her father's words took on a different urgency. "Elise, it's worse than I thought. Meet me at the diner." The jubilation she felt moments ago seeped away like a balloon deflating, replaced by panic. What did worse mean? Her heart sank at the thought, twisting with dread. Sinclair noticed her sudden change in expression, concern flickering across his face. "Elise? What's wrong?" She looked at him, then at the crowd, their smiles bright, their hopes lifted. But she felt the ground shifting beneath her feet. "I need to go," she said, already backing away from the stage, her mind racing. "I need to see my father." As she hurried off stage, leaving the room buzzing with excitement, she wondered about the choices ahead. Would the fundraiser become a lifeline, or would there be more storms to weather? As she hurried down the hall, the echoes of celebrations followed, but her heart was heavy with uncertainty. Would she find her father in time? Would the diner survive like their dreams? The possibilities stretched out in front of her, teetering on the edge of hope and dread. And there, amid the excitement, she felt a new question stirring inside. What if this moment was just the beginning of a much larger battle? Elise rushed through the corridors, her pulse racing. Each step felt like a battle against time, and the warm glow of the celebration faded into the background, replaced by the chilling uncertainty of her father's condition. The diner wasn't just a building, it was the heartbeat of their little town, and the thought of losing it, a gut-wrenching thought, sent a new wave of fear crashing over her. What had her father meant by worse? Was he truly unwell, or was he overwhelmed by the mounting pressures? Elise's mind was a whirlwind, torn between worry for her father's well-being and the community's anticipation of the fundraiser that could save the diner. As she pushed open the door to the diner, the scent of old wood and fried food enveloped her. It felt like home, yet it suddenly seemed foreign, like a shadow of what it once was. The flicker of the neon sign outside cast eerie shadows on the cracked linoleum floor. "Dad?" Her voice wavered, anxiously calling out. She scanned the diner, the familiar rhythms of clinking dishes and soft chatter silent now. The chairs were pushed in at the tables, and the jukebox stood still, a monument to moments of joy that felt out of reach. "Back here." Her father's voice carried from the kitchen, hoarse and strained. Elise hurried to the kitchen door and found him leaning against the counter, his face pallid. Her heart sank at the sight. He looked like a ghost of himself, weary and worn out. "Dad!" She rushed to his side, gripping his arm. "What's going on?" "You said it was worse," he grimaced, rubbing a hand over his forehead. "I didn't want to worry you. Worry me. You need to be honest with me." The urgency bubbled over, tears prickling her eyes. "I can't help if I don't know what I'm up against." He took a deep breath, and for a moment, Elise saw the strong, steady man who had built this diner from the ground up. But that spark was dimming. "I went to the doctor. The tests, they didn't come back good." "Tests?" Her heart dropped. "What do you mean? What did they say?" His gaze faltered, and fear flickered in his eyes. "It's my heart, Elise. I've got to make changes, and fast." "Changes? You just need to rest. We can get through this, but you need to be strong for a bit longer. Nothing matters if this place isn't saved. You saw the crowd tonight, they were counting on us." The gravity of his words hit hard. Her father had sacrificed so much, and here she was, worried about saving a building when his life was at stake. "Then we'll do this together," she insisted, her voice breaking slightly. "We have a plan, a fundraiser coming up. If we rally everyone, we can turn things around." He shook his head, eyes filled with doubt. "I'm not sure if I can hold on that long." "Then we'll fight for you, Dad." Her voice steadied, a flicker of determination igniting within her. "We need the diner, and we need you too. I can't imagine losing either." Elise felt like the walls were closing in, but she couldn't show weakness. There was too much at stake. "We can't lose this place, please." His eyes softened, and for the first time, she saw a glimmer of hope, just a sliver, but enough to fuel her spirit. "If you believe we can rally the community, then I'll try, but it'll take everything we've got." She nodded, resolve strengthening with her father's words. "We'll make it work. I promise." Just as they started to devise a plan, the bell above the diner door jingled softly. Elise's heart stuttered as she looked up. Duke Sinclair stepped inside, his expression unreadable. The glow of the streetlight behind him framed his silhouette, and Elise felt an uneasy knot in her stomach. He wasn't just a community leader, he was now a part of their fight. "Duke," she managed, a tightness in her throat. "What are you doing here?" His gaze drifted between Elise and her father, the tension in the room palpable. "I came to check on you both, and I think we need to talk." Elise held her breath, her heart racing with a mixture of hope and fear. What if he had questions that could break this fragile moment they were trying to build? What if he didn't understand? But deep down, she knew whatever he had to say might hold the key to more than just the diner. This was the moment, standing on the precipice of something monumental. As her gaze locked onto his, excitement danced under the surface. What kind of unimaginable support could he bring into their struggle? "Let us talk," she said, determination hardening her voice. "We need every hand on deck." And as they gathered for what would be a pivotal conversation, Elise felt a flicker of hope igniting in an unexpected way. But would it be enough to withstand the challenges ahead? Elise took a deep breath, trying to steady herself as Duke stepped closer. The air was thick with unspoken tension, and she knew this was a critical moment. "What are you thinking?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her father's eyes were locked on Duke, waiting for him to speak. Duke ran a hand through his hair, his expression serious. "I want to help you both. The diner, it's more than just a business to this town. It's a cornerstone of our community." Elise felt her heart rise a little. Maybe, just maybe, they could really make this work. "Then you believe we can turn things around?" Her voice held a spark of hope, but what if he had bigger plans? "Absolutely," he nodded. "I have some ideas for the fundraiser that could really draw a crowd." But he hesitated. "I'm going to need your help, Elise. People won't show up just for the diner. They'll come for you, for your passion." A lump formed in her throat. Her passion. It reminded her of the countless nights spent helping her father, of those shared meals filled with laughter and hope. "I can do that. I can rally everyone. Just tell me what you need me to do." Duke smiled, a flicker of camaraderie forming between them. "We need to bring the community together, make this personal." He paused and looked at her intently. "What stories can we share? Why does this diner matter? We need everyone to see what they lose." Elise felt a swell of determination. Everyone loves the diner for different reasons. It's where first dates happen, where families celebrate birthdays, where friends gather after a long week. She looked toward her father, seeking his approval. "If we can tell those stories, it'll connect us in ways we never imagined." Her father, stirred by her words, nodded slowly. "That's right. We'll create a story about the diner. About our journey, not just our struggles." His voice was stronger now, a hint of the man he was resurfacing. Duke's eyes sparkled. Yes. We can set up a night where people can share their memories. Let them tell their stories while we serve them a meal. It'll fill the diner and create that emotional connection we need. Elise could feel her excitement bubbling. We could even make it a themed night. Maybe a diner memories theme where everyone can come dressed in the style of their favorite decade. Now you're thinking, Duke encouraged. We need to set the date for the fundraiser and start spreading the word fast. Her heart raced as she grabbed a pen and paper. I can start a social media campaign. Pictures of people with their favorite meals, share their stories. We'll create a buzz. Count me in, Duke stated, moving closer. We'll brainstorm ideas for the event together. As the conversation flowed, Elise felt more alive than she had in days. Duke was passionate, quick, and the way he worked alongside her father was anchoring the moment, enhancing their connection. She could sense a transformation beginning, not just in the diner, but in all of them. For the first time in a while, she could envision a brighter future. A future where her father was healthy and the diner thrived. It was still a hard mountain to climb, but she could see just a sliver of the summit. But then Duke's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and the look on his face shifted, turning serious again. I'm sorry, but I need to take this. It's regarding something important. He stepped outside to take the call, leaving Elise and her father in a bittersweet silence. What if he's the key we've been missing? Her father said, a note of hope in his voice. I think he is, Elise replied, her heart clenching. But what if this call changes everything? What if he has to step away? Her father placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. We can't let ourselves get caught up in what-ifs. We have to trust that he's on our side. They shared a glance, a mutual understanding sparking between them. But just as Duke returned, his face set in an unreadable expression, Elise's heartbeat quickened. Is everything all right? She asked, half hopeful, half fearful. Not quite, Duke replied, glancing down the street. It seems there might be something else. We need to prepare for something that could change everything. Elise's stomach tightened. What could he mean? Let us talk, he urged, and the weight of his words settled heavily in the air. Would this be the news they were waiting for, or a new obstacle in their path? Hope swirled with anxiety, and as they gathered again, Elise couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was on the horizon. What was about to unfold could either crumble their dreams or galvanize them into action. Duke took a moment, his gaze shifting toward the bustling street outside the diner. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the town. It felt as if time had slowed, the air thick with anticipation. Elise bit her lip, her heart pounding in her chest. She could sense that whatever Duke had to say was critical. Okay, Duke finally said, his voice calm yet urgent. This might sound strange, but I've just received news that the city is planning to demolish a few buildings, including our diner, to make way for a new parking garage. Elise's breath caught in her throat, disbelief sweeping over her. What? No, that can't be right. Her father stood rigidly, his brows furrowing. We have to stop this. We can't allow them to take our diner. Duke nodded. Exactly. If we want to save the diner, we need to push back. We need community support, and we need it fast. Elise felt fire ignite within her, mixing with the dread coiling in her stomach. But how? We don't have the resources, and the fundraiser is just days away. Duke stepped closer, his resolve apparent. We make this about more than just saving the diner. We present it as a fight for our community's heart. This isn't just a business to us, this diner holds the stories and memories of everyone here. We need to show the city how much it means. Her father's eyes glimmered with the spark Elise hadn't seen in a while. What do you need us to do? We can organize a town meeting. Bring everyone together, share stories, and build a collective voice. We need testimonies, photos from families who've spent decades here. If people see that the diner is irreplaceable, they might think twice about the city's decision. The weight of Duke's words made Elise's heart race with determination. I'll start reaching out. I can post on social media, asking everyone to share their stories and pictures. If they want to talk at the meeting, I'll collect their words and let them be heard. Good. That's the spirit, Duke said, a small smile breaking through his earlier intensity. And I'll gather support from local businesses. They rely on the diner just like the residents do. Let us do this, Elise said, her voice bursting with newfound energy. As they brainstormed ideas, her heart swelled with hope. Each plan laid out felt like a step closer to protecting everything they held dear. Her father interjected, I'll reach out to old customers. It's time they remember why they loved this place. Moments turned into hours as they flew through ideas, hoping to kindle a fire in the community. They were in this together, fueled by love and determination, but as they wrapped up the conversation, Elise's phone beeped. She glanced down, surprised to see a message from her friend Hannah asking to meet her at the diner urgently. A knot formed in her stomach. Could her friend know something more? Duke sensed her hesitation. What is it? It's Hannah, Elise said, anxiety prickling her skin. She wants to meet at the diner. What if she has heard something we need to know? Whatever it is, we'll face it together, Duke said, his voice steady. Elise clutched her phone tightly, feeling a mix of dread and excitement. She knew she wouldn't be alone in this fight. But as she headed toward the door, she wondered what news awaited her and if it would strengthen their cause or shatter their hopes. As the door swung open, Elise stepped into the world outside, ready for whatever came next, but the uncertainty gnawed at her. Was this the break they desperately needed, or another twist of fate locked within shadows? The streets were alive, filled with laughter and chatter as Elise made her way to the diner. Though the sun still shone brightly, a cloud of uncertainty lingered in her mind. The bubbling excitement inside her threatened to burst, but anxiety gripped her as she thought of Hannah's urgent request. She pushed the door open, the familiar chime welcoming her back. The smell of freshly brewed coffee and grilled sandwiches wrapped around her, momentarily distracting her from the weight of the world outside. Hannah was already seated at their usual booth, her expression unreadable. Elise's heart raced as she slid into the space across from her friend. Hey, you said it was urgent? Hannah fiddled with her phone, her fingers trembling slightly. I don't know how to say this, but my family has ties to the city council. They're pushing for this parking garage fast, and they're not being shy about it. What do you mean? Elise felt a chill travel down her spine. Is there something specific about our diner? Hannah's voice dropped to a whisper, urgency dripping from every word. They're trying to fast-track the demolition. They see it as just another building, but it's more than that. If we don't act quickly and get the city on our side, we might lose everything. Elise's heart sank. We're already working on getting the community together. But we need more. We need leverage, something that shows how much the diner means to everyone. Hannah's eyes brightened, a flicker of hope flashing for just a moment. Maybe we can use the council's reputation against them. If we present this as a loss for the community, a loss against their values, maybe we'll get them to reconsider. Hannah, that could work, Elise replied, adrenaline coursing through her veins. If we can show they're not just demolishing a diner, but tearing apart the fabric of the community, it might just sway them. Elise leaned in closer, feeling a spark of camaraderie. But we have to gather stories fast. People need to share how the diner has impacted their lives, not just in words, but in spirit. The diner door swung open again, a gust of wind sweeping in. Duke entered, shaking off the chill. He spotted the two girls and made his way over, concern knitting his brows together. What is going on? Elise glanced at Hannah, her eyes steady. We just found out it's worse than we thought. We might not have much time before the council makes their move. Duke sank into the booth beside Elise, determination radiating from him. We need a rally. A big one. If we can get people to the town square, we can make our voices echo loud enough to reach the city hall. We'll need signs, stories written and shared, maybe even some kind of performance to get their attention. Like a protest? Hannah's expression flickered with uncertainty. What if they retaliate? Elise felt the fire inside her spark once more. No matter what, we can't back down. This diner is the home of our memories, our laughter, and tears. What if we embrace that? What if we let our love for this place shine through? The trio exchanged glances, and in that silent connection, they understood what was at stake. Duke squeezed Elise's hand, his voice firm. We can do this. We have to believe in the power of our community. With newfound resolve, Elise felt her heart swell again, this time deepening with conviction. They began mapping out plans, creating flyers and speeches, transforming fear into action. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the diner glowed warmly on the street, a beacon of hope amid the uncertain shadows. Elise's phone buzzed again, a message from another friend offering support. She felt empowered by the unfolding wave of determination around her. But as they prepared to dive into this fight, a sensation crept in, an unshakable feeling that more challenges awaited them. Would they be able to rally enough people to save the diner, or was this just the beginning of something far greater? Elise looked around at her friends, knowing they would give everything to keep their beloved diner alive, but what if saving it demanded more than they were prepared to give? Elise could barely sleep that night. The diner loomed in her thoughts, its walls echoing with laughter and the scent of pancakes and syrup. But now, it was under threat. The weight of the world felt heavier than ever as she tossed and turned, trying to shake off the unease that settled like a fog. Morning light streamed through her bedroom window, bringing with it a renewed sense of urgency. She grabbed her phone and sent a quick text to Hannah. We need to start gathering stories today. Let's organize a meeting at the diner tonight. To her surprise, Hannah replied almost immediately, her enthusiasm palpable. I'll spread the word. Let's get everyone together. The diner felt even more welcoming the next day as people trickled in, drawn by the promise of free coffee for those willing to share their stories. Elise stood behind the counter, pouring cups and taking a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. The chatter grew, and soon, the familiar faces of their regulars filled the seats. Duke arrived, breathless, holding a stack of flyers in one hand. Just finished printing these. We need to make sure they get into every mailbox in town. He joined Elise by the counter, his presence an anchor amidst the tumult. How are you holding up? I'm okay, she replied, forcing a smile. Just nervous about tonight, and about gathering all those stories. Duke nodded, the concern on his face evident. We'll make it work. Let's just get people talking. As the afternoon wore on, the diner's atmosphere buzzed with warmth and camaraderie. Elise could feel the hope in the air, fueled by the community's love for the place. One by one, regulars began to share their memories. There was Mrs. Henderson, who had her first date with her late husband at this very booth, and young Jake, who recalled celebrating his 10th birthday surrounded by friends, a giant sundae in the center of the table. Each story infused Elise with a sense of purpose. She jotted down notes fervently, her heart swelling with each laugh. The diner was not just a building, it was woven into the lives of everyone who entered. As evening approached, the diner filled to capacity. Families, friends, and even former employees gathered, eager to share their experiences. Elise stood on a chair and raised her arms, calling for attention. Thank you all for coming. We're not just fighting for a diner, we're fighting for our memories, our community. But we need your stories, your voices to make this fight real. Cheers erupted, and the room buzzed with anticipation. Elise felt a warmth radiate through her as she looked around at the hopeful faces. Just then, a familiar figure walked in: Mr. Thompson, the city council member known for his stern demeanor. The room shifted, a hush falling over the gathering. What are you doing here? Duke challenged, stepping protectively beside Elise. Elise's heart raced. Would Mr. Thompson attempt to silence them? But instead, Mr. Thompson's expression softened. I heard what you're doing. I wanted to hear these stories myself. His unexpected response caught everyone off guard, and Elise seized the moment. "You understand how much this diner means to us, right? This isn't just a building." Mr. Thompson nodded slowly, as Elise's breath quickened. Perhaps this was a chance to sway him, an opportunity to show how deeply rooted the diner was in the community. As the night carried on, she watched patterns of hope emerge within the room, people leaning on one another, letting their voices rise above the fear. But beneath that rising tide of courage, an unease settled over Elise. What if they didn't connect with Mr. Thompson in time? The thought lingered like shadows at the edges, and as night fell, Elise realized they needed to act urgently. In that moment, a revelation sparked inside her. What if the stories went beyond just memories? What if they represented dreams yet to unfold? Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new stories to tell, but could they harness this momentum before it was too late? As she stared at the flickering diner lights, Elise's heart pounded, filled with hope but haunted by the uncertainty of what lay ahead. What other secrets might unravel in the battle to save their diner? The diner buzzed with energy, the night's excitement palpable. Story after story was shared as laughter and tears mingled throughout the room. Elise could hardly keep up with her notes, her heart filled with newfound determination. She noticed Mr. Thompson sitting at the bar, nodding along, clearly engaged. This was their moment, and Elise wasn't going to let it slip away. As conversations flowed, Duke leaned in closer. "How do we make him feel what we feel, Elise? We need him on our side," he whispered urgently. Elise paused. "Maybe we should show him what our diner has meant to us, not just words, but real emotions." Inspiration struck her suddenly. "What if we create a video? We can film everyone sharing their stories and the impact the diner has had on their lives." Duke grinned, his eyes lighting up. "That's it. We can gather something heartfelt, something that isn't just a flying flyer or a speech. Seeing these stories might help him understand." With newfound vigor, Elise jumped off her stool, rallying the crowd's support. "Listen up. We are going to document our love for this diner, and I want all of you to contribute. Let's make something beautiful that captures our community spirit." Excited murmurs rippled through the crowd. Volunteers immediately stepped forward, offering to help with the filming. Some grabbed their phones, others started brainstorming how to make the video impactful. It felt like a surge of hope was electrifying the room. As the gathering continued, Elise caught sight of Mrs. Henderson exchanging glances with young Jake. "Let's start with their stories," she suggested, keen to create a sense of connection between the generations. Watching Mrs. Henderson recount her cherished first date with her husband at the diner tugged at Elise's heart. The older woman's eyes shined with bittersweet nostalgia. "It was here I realized love could bloom in the most unexpected of places," she said softly, her voice quivering with emotion. Beside her, Jake spoke of laughter-filled birthdays, his young face lit with joy. Elise could already picture the beginning of the video, warm, inviting, full of life. Yet, doubt crept in again. Would it truly change anything? Could a video of memories be enough to sway someone like Mr. Thompson? After establishing a filming plan, she felt a sense of breathlessness as the clock ticked on. By the time the official meeting with Mr. Thompson was to begin, they would need to have their video drafted and ready. That meant getting the filming done swiftly, and with so many people willing to share, it was no small challenge. As she glanced toward Mr. Thompson, still brooding at the bar, a realization struck her. He needed to witness how the diner wasn't just a building but a heart that held the community together. Without that connection, they were bound to fail. Suddenly, an idea struck her, a desperate, daring plan. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her conviction. This was no longer about simply saving a diner, it was about saving history, heart, hope. "I'll share my story," Elise declared, her voice rising above the noise. "It's time he understands why this place matters, straight from my heart." The room quieted down, eyes upon her. "Do you really think he'll listen?" asked Duke, concern flickering in his eyes. Elise felt the warmth of the community wrap around her. "It doesn't matter if he listens. It matters that I speak." I need to let him see me, all of us, in a way he never has before. As she clutched the counter and prepared herself, emotions swirled within her. She knew this was a risk, laying herself bare before them all, but if it meant saving the diner, she had to try. With that thought in mind, Elise took her first step toward Mr. Thompson, heart racing. Would her vulnerability touch his heart? Would the community's love seep into his hardened resolve? She'd soon find out, but deep down, a flicker of fear lingered. What if this was her biggest mistake yet? What truths would unfold in bare honesty that night? Elise took a deep breath as she approached Mr. Thompson, every step feeling like a leap of faith. The noise of the diner faded into a distant hum, it was just the two of them now. She steadied herself, wiping her clammy hands on her jeans. "Mr. Thompson," she began, her voice stronger than she felt. "I need you to listen." The city councilman looked up, surprised but attentive. "Go ahead, Elise." "I'm listening," he replied, his tone softer than she expected. "Please, it's not just about the diner. It's about our families, our memories. It's about who we are." Her heart raced, each word tumbling out like a dam breaking. "This diner is a refuge for us. It's where we celebrate, grieve, and come together. It's our home." She glanced around at the tables filled with faces that reflected her urgency. The diner was the heart of their community, and she needed Mr. Thompson to see that. "Last week, I wrote down why the diner matters to me," she continued, her voice cracking slightly. "I remembered every moment my first job here, sharing meals, laughter with my dad." Tears welled in her eyes. "And now it's not just a job for us, it represents our family and all we've fought for. If it goes, part of us dies with it." His gaze softened, and she pressed on, feeling a flicker of resolve igniting within her. "I urge you to take a look at the stories we're capturing. Each one speaks of love and connection. If you see that, really see it, how can you choose to tear that away?" Mr. Thompson shifted in his seat, absorbing her words. Just then, Duke came up beside her, his presence grounding. "Mr. Thompson, the community stands ready to protect this diner. We'll show you what it means to us, to all of us." Elise exchanged a glance with Duke, his encouragement bolstering her confidence. "We're organizing a rally, planning a fascinating video with stories and memories. Will you come? Will you share this with your fellow council members?" She saw Mr. Thompson's brow furrow in thought. "All right," he replied, his voice more solemn, "I'll attend the rally. I want to see how the community feels firsthand. But I can't promise anything." Elise nodded eagerly, capturing the glimmer of hope. "That's all we need, your ear, your heart. That's the start." She turned towards the diner, her spirit lifted, realizing that they might actually be gaining traction. As she prepared to retell her story that night, the energy in the diner shifted. People whispered and smiled, their confidence building. Together, with Duke and their supporters, they crafted a future worth fighting for. The rally day dawned bright and hopeful. Elise felt the flutter of nerves, but the thrill of the community buzzed around her, electrifying every moment. She stood on the stage miniature compared to the huge crowd gathered before her. Elise clutched her notes, her heart racing as she addressed the crowd. "This diner is not just where we eat, it's the rhythm of our lives. Each one of you carries a piece of its history. Let us not just save a building, let us save our heart." The crowd erupted in cheers, voices joined in unity. Each speech, each story shared, drew the city council's attention to the diner and its deep roots within the community. When Mr. Thompson stepped to the front, the crowd hushed, anticipation thickening the air. "I've heard your stories, and while I didn't understand their significance before, I do now. This place means more than I realized, and I want to help." Elise felt a rush of relief wash over her and caught Duke's eye. They had done this together, they had brought their community together. A collective sigh of gratitude rippled through her as Mr. Thompson announced they would propose a delay in the demolition, allowing the diner to become a point of focus not just on its survival but on its heritage. In the days that followed, word spread throughout the town about the fierce love and resolve surrounding the diner. They held events, shared stories, and celebrated their community's strength, weaving new memories. Elise stood by her father, both healthier and more vibrant now. Their laughter rang through the diner's air, a testament to their victory and revitalization. Tiered cakes, classic diner dishes, and amateur live music created a warm atmosphere that sparkled with love. As Elise looked at the happy faces around her friends, family, neighbors, her heart filled with joy. They had faced uncertainty, but together, they had become more than just the patrons of a diner, they became warriors of their community. "Let us continue to be those warriors," Duke said, placing a hand on her shoulder, his eyes shining with pride. "Let's keep this spirit alive." Elise smiled brightly, feeling the pulse of her community more strongly than ever. Together, they could weather any storm. As the night went on, the familiar clang of plates and the soft laughter filled the diner. Hope hung in the air, and Elise whispered a thank you to the universe, knowing they had truly transformed not just a diner but a community united as one. Now the real question lingered in the back of her mind: what other battles lay ahead? Would they gather their strength to fight those too? But that was for tomorrow. Today, they had triumphed, and the future felt bright, and in that moment of contentment, Elise realized they were ready for whatever came next. As the camera zoomed out, framing the celebration, a voice echoed above the cheerful laughter: "Let us make sure to tell our story to the world. It's our legacy now." Elise knew this was more than the end, it was just the beginning of a transformative journey they would take together. So now, if you're reading this, remember to keep your family's stories alive. Stand firm in your battles, no matter how impossible they may seem. And don't forget to pledge your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show love for every warrior in their community. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this transforming tale and how it inspires you, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because you need to be part of the story. Together, we can create a wave of change. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.